Hello, and welcome to the Garfunkel Wild Intellectual Property Group podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing NFTs and how they relate to intellectual property, specifically copyrights. You're here with Zach Cohn, a partner with Garfunkel Wild, and Philip Hammerberg, an attorney with Garfunkel Wild. Zach, I guess the first thing to ask as a baseline, what's an NFT?
Thank you. An NFT, it stands for a non-fungible token. It's basically, the simplest way I can describe it is really just a digital file that has some sort of unique identifier on it, and it's verified on a certain blockchain. So this is the difference between an NFT and another piece of crypto is that regular crypto coins, something like Bitcoin, it's fungible, meaning while there might be some difference between each Bitcoin, like each Bitcoin might have a different serial number, they're all the same thing. I would trade your Bitcoin for my Bitcoin. It doesn't matter which Bitcoin you have, they're all the same value. They don't have any uniqueness to them that makes them worth more or less. With an NFT, they each have each NFT has a unique aspect to it that makes it different from somebody else's, whether it be that it's different artwork, it's a one-of-one artwork that no one else has, or it could be a series like a painting might have, an artist might do one of 100 paintings, and it's the same exact painting, but it all has a different number sequence to it, and people might assign value to being the one who has number 1 versus number 71 or something like that. So if I have number 1 of a certain piece and you have number 17, we might not want to trade that because I might value number 1 more than yours. So that's what makes it a non-fungible. So there's been just a huge boom of NFTs lately. And so I think it makes sense to talk about the copyright aspects of them that people need to know, both in if you want to create an NFT, what you need to know, and then if you want to buy an NFT, what you need to know. So in terms of creating NFTs, again, you're basically putting a digital file on the blockchain. And so I wanted you to maybe start talking about what do people who want to put their copyrighted material on a blockchain, what do they have to think about?
Sure. So they definitely want to think about whether they have adequate intellectual property rights in whatever they're creating an NFT in. There seems to be, generally speaking, a significant overlap between NFTs and copyrightable works, images, sounds, videos, although I could see this extending to books or written documents as well. But the key point is you want to ensure that you have adequate rights to create the NFT, which I would consider an NFT to be a derivative work. So the person who's minting and or creating the NFT should ensure that they have adequate intellectual property rights to create a derivative work in the copyrighted work. One way to do that is to create an NFT of work that you created. So rather than taking something that somebody else created and using that as the basis for the NFT, you can create something yourself, and then the copyright would automatically vest with you, provided that what you create isn't itself a derivative work.
Also, potentially, if you've created anything and you've given certain rights of what you've created to other people already.
Yes, yeah, that's certainly a good point. This would be subject to any existing contracts. If you've signed an exclusive deal with a music label, for example, then you may not have the rights to create an NFT for music that you've created due to that contractual relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And so now that an NFT has been created, and you have the you've looked in, you make sure that you have either you have the rights to the work, or you've created the work and you haven't given away certain rights that prevent you from creating this NFT. Now there's an NFT that's been created, and now on the flip side of that, there's going to be a potential someone who wants to buy that NFT. So as an investor, or as a collector, or as just a person who's interested in technology, what do they now need to think about before they buy an NFT from any sort of copyright perspectives or other intellectual property perspectives?
Sure. So I think a very important question or issue is the question of what you're really getting with the NFT. What I mean by this is not all NFTs come with the same rights. Some NFTs come with very broad intellectual property rights, such as the right to monetize, the right to create derivative works, the right to reproduce or publicly display the content of the NFT, whereas other NFTs can be highly restrictive. And those restrictive NFTs, while you still would own the NFT, you wouldn't be able to reproduce the work publicly, or you might not be able to. You might not be able to monetize the work. It may be limited to basically being a collectible. I mean, as an NFT, I would assume typically you would be able to sell that NFT as a collectible to somebody else, but that might be your only right.
And then to the extent then that a marketplace gives you broader rights, what if you wanted to look for something and you say, I want to be able to have, this NFT and be able to do a lot of cool stuff with it, what should that person who's looking to buy, what should they be looking for, on the marketplace, on the terms and conditions of the marketplace that they're buying from? What are they looking for to make sure that they now have the rights that they're looking for?
Sure. So you would basically have to do a legal analysis of the terms and conditions, or terms of use, as the case may be. And you would be looking for a really broad license, something that was certainly perpetual, or at least for the term that you own the NFT, something that gave you the rights to monetize the content of the NFT, something that allowed you to reproduce it in various forms. Ideally, something that allowed you to create derivative works. Just something that sort of mirrored the types of rights that are sort of in the bundle of copyright rights, which just to run through those. The bundle of copyrights rights include the right to reproduce, the right to prepare derivative works, the right to distribute copies of the work, the right to publicly perform the work, the right to publicly display the work, and the right to digitally transmit the work of the public performance. So those are the kinds of rights that I would be looking for if I wanted to purchase an NFT with the broadest rights possible.
Another thing I think I would point out is when you're looking to buy an NFT, you also need to do a little bit of diligence of who you are buying it from. Because just because a creator should be only creating things that they have the right to, we all know that people do things that they're not allowed to do. And so you don't want to just, oh, I like this type of art and I see, I love this artist and here's an NFT of that artist's work, I'm going to go buy it. You should do a little bit of diligence to make sure that what you're buying was actually done from that artist and not some random person who just minted that person's art onto a blockchain is now trying to sell it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I read a press release recently from OpenSea, which is one of, if not perhaps the biggest NFT marketplace, which stated that approximately 80%, at least as of the date of the publication, of the content on OpenSea had intellectual property issues that the creators may or may not have had the rights to create that content.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know on OpenSea and some of these other marketplaces, if you're a well-known creator, sometimes you get like a check mark, like a verified check mark, like on, I think Twitter does that, and so that you know that that's been verified. That doesn't mean that just because someone doesn't have the check mark, they're not the legitimate owner of that work. It just might mean that they haven't been verified by OpenSea, or they're not quote unquote big enough talent to warrant the attention to get that that check mark. But you definitely, if you're going to spend real money on something, you want to do your due diligence, just like you do due diligence on anything else that you were to spend your money on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Any other points that you have that should be brought up?
No, I think that wraps it up. I can see by the clock here that we're almost out of time. So thank you for being available for this podcast, and thank you to the listeners for listening. Please like and subscribe, and check us out next time.